Hi, welcome back to Miss Candy's Land. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's so important for all children to understand at a very young age. Where am I in the world? Where am I? We're told there's a world, there's space, there's oceans, by the time we're 3 years old, we have an understanding that is very skewed about who am I? Where am I in the world? And a lot of times we do the schools will do it's all about me in kindergarten and in preschool. And, that's great where we talk about, all the great things about myself. I have brown hair, brown eyes. I'm not discounting that at all. It's very important that we learn to love ourselves early on, because if we don't, we won't learn to love. We won't learn to love learning. You don't love yourself. Why do you want to learn anything? And if people do everything for you all the time because in a way you refuse to learn new things, or you don't want to show people that again, that was in the last video about the value. If there's no value placed on knowing these types of things and integrating them into our personality as we grow, some things really get lost in the mix there. So we're going to start with, where am I in the world? So every September, and then I do it again. I do it 3 times a year, just for new students in and out. Every student here will know, no matter what I do, if I'm, because I do childcare also, I do therapeutic childcare, which is all day while kids are at work, parents are at work, and I do tutoring that is just a couple hours, and I do different classes on different days for different kids. But every single one of them can tell you where they are in the world, and because they can tell you that, they can tell you a lot of things about the world. So we're going to start with science. So, astronaut. So we are going to talk about, we're going to give them something like this. Super cheap, Amazon, maybe $15. Everything comes apart. It's like a little puzzle. But when we first start this, we are not really to put the puzzle together. I mean, that's okay, if they decide they want to. But the first thing that you want to point out is you live here. Now, there is all these other planets and the sun and the moon and the space and the stars, but you live here in all of this. That is a major concept that 2 and 3-year-olds grasp with such fervor, because we're always talking about how the planets line up and that the sun is out there and it makes the plants grow. And we're always going in that direction, which is good because we need to learn that too. But first, we need to understand, for confidence, for our placement, for our life path, to even have a chance at finding it, we need to understand where we are. Where are we in space? Simple concept. We're going to talk about this for a few days. I'm going to pull all these things off eventually, and you're going to bring me the one that you're on. Even if you don't speak, you're going to hear me speak, and I'm going to do things hands-on like this, and then you're going to bring me, where are you? Where are you in the, whatever you want to call it. Where are you in the universe? And you're going to bring me this. And so you're going to understand you come from this planet. Okay? Once you understand that, then you want to go a little deeper, and you want to say, what country? This is America. Now, I have a huge world map in the other classroom, and in other videos, I do show pictures of the micro school so that you understand. And so it has all the continents on it, and that's where we talk about, you live on this one, you live on this one, you live on this one. This is America, you live in America. Again, we're downloading this concept so that you understand that the universe and the planet are bigger than you realize, because a lot of times kids get lost in self of, I'm just here now, and we don't understand the parameters of that. And we're not trying to limit them. We're actually trying to make them think bigger. We're trying to take away limitations. So once we understand, you can point to the continent, I'm America. You can tell me America, or you can point to it, whatever. Then we're going to move to, where are you in America? Where are you? We are here, literally here. Okay, so you're going to be able to tell me, looking at this map, we're going to talk about it. We're going to, just like the letter cards, A is for apple, B is, we live here. We live here. We live here. We live here. If you have relatives that live out of town, or if you've ever been anywhere, say you've been to Disney World, or you've been to, say you're from the East Coast and you've been to Florida, things like that, then that's the next step. And you want to say, yeah, we live here. But remember last Christmas when we went here, we got on an airplane, or however you did it. Those are so important. So I'll break away to a story of a client who was going to go visit his home country. He was nonverbal pretty much when I met him, just some repeating. After a few weeks, he was able to answer questions and even have small talk, which I didn't even teach him. He just, once he learned the value of speaking and the value of the interactions with using his voice, he became just an interactive conversator. With that maladaptive, which is an ABA word, but those hard to deal with behaviors, they all subside because now we're feeling whole inside because we're able to communicate. So he had to go to his home country. He lived in America, but his family isn't from America. They're from a country far away. And after a year of working with me, because that's all they ever wanted was to take him back to his home country, but they didn't think he could handle the airplane ride. They didn't think he could handle, being that far away or understanding the concepts. So what we did was they brought him over to the world map, over to the house here, and we looked at the world map, and that's what I explained to him. You live here, but you're going to get in an airplane, and you're going to fly over here, and you're going to see all your family members, and they're going to tell you how smart you are, and they're going to be so excited that you got on that airplane and you flew over here, and then you're going to get back on that airplane, and you're going to fly back home. He was having trouble understanding that he was coming back home, and he needed a visual. He needed to watch my fingers go across the map and say, you're going to go over here so everyone can see how smart you are. And then you're going to come back and I'll see you when you get back. He needed that. That's what he needed. And he went on that trip. He did great. And he is a graduate. He's a graduate of Miss Candy's Land. Okay. It happens. A lot of ABA therapists always want to tell you, no, there's another goal, habilitation. Oh, well, we got to remember they're children. Every child has goals. It's not special. I guess that's another break to commercial break. Oftentimes when we're dealing with kids with autism, ADHD, or any kind of diagnosis, especially autism, any neurodivergent stuff, everything is this goal and it's this pressure, and you're not okay if you don't learn it. And this, it's every 2-year-old has to learn to stack blocks. Every toddler has to learn to be potty trained. It's the goal for everyone. Every toddler has a meltdown in the grocery store. I mean, just because your kid's autistic and has a meltdown in the grocery store does not mean, oh my gosh, this life is so hard because my kid's autistic. Just remember, they're still kids. They're still kids, and you don't know how high or low on the spectrum they're even gonna be with the right tools and materials. And if you look at their goals as, well, every kid has to learn to zip their jacket, so why are we, making all this fuss, right? Now you want your child to learn it, but all the fuss that you make and all the emphasis you put on it, that's not value, that's pressure. Okay. Value is going to come from, it's cold outside. Value is zipping up your jacket. There's a way to teach that. And it's not, sending them out to be cold or anything. It's teaching them about the weather. It's teaching them those practical life skills in a positive, loving way that you would any child. But it gets lost in diagnosis. No, you no longer afford the right to just learn, even if you're behind. Maybe you're just 2 years behind what a regular 4-year-old does. You're 6 and is that a problem? I can't. Again, if you meet kids where they are and you give them all that confidence of, yeah, you're super smart. You know how to do this. You know what? You can learn to do this too. Oh my God, how amazing is that, right? And they're going to cheerlead with you and they're just going to do it, right? And I know that's easier said than done for a lot of people, but it isn't. It really isn't. If you started in practice, a lot of this working with kids is looking at yourself. If I'm not saying you're anybody who can't get their kids to, do what they need them to do is a bad parent or a bad provider or anything like that. What I'm saying is, for a minute, you got to be the most interesting thing in the room. Okay? No matter if it's a bag of tricks, you're interested because you have a big bag of cool stuff. You have to be interesting, and you have to be engaging, and you have to believe in your child. So don't let a diagnosis, because a lot of times teachers and even therapists, they'd be like, oh, well, this is the diagnosis, so we're only going to be able to go so far. That doesn't reside here. Ever. We're going to go as far as they want to go. Okay? And so the reason I had that little commercial break is because I wanted to point out, once I started teaching where you are in the world, you live here. Oh my gosh, but you've been here and you've been here. Oh, do you remember when you went there? Did you get on a plane? Did you ride and again, I'm talking to a child now that I have taught to be verbal. So if your child is not verbal, or maybe they're not going to be, because again, their other abilities are going to be monstrous and monumental. So it's not that big of a deal. We can teach them to communicate using other means. Always. So in speaking to a child that is somewhat verbal, and showing them all of this, and then later going into games of, oh my gosh, can you point to Oklahoma? It just goes and goes and goes until 4, 5, 6-year-old kids walk in and say, can I learn about Antarctica? I want to know about Antarctica. And, I always say parents, try to have some encyclopedias and things around, because when they get bit by this bug, it never stops. Especially the where are we in the world, because it is massive. It covers so many things, and it leads to so many things: science, geology, math, all these practical life skills like map reading, and it just goes so far. Learning your address, what street do you live on? All of those things are in the where am I in the world. So once we get to Arizona, then we go, where in Arizona? And then we study, what city? Oh, Phoenix. Okay. What street? What address? And it just goes and it builds. But during that time that maybe I'm focusing on that, they're going to come in and be like, I was watching YouTube videos about Antarctica. Can you teach me about Antarctica? So, and these are packets where on the fly, that was not the lesson that I had planned. And yes, these are children of kindergarten age that can write these words, right? They can read, right? I've taught them to read during teaching them speech. Now, if there are kids that already talk, then I teach them the phonics way. I mean, it's a little different. It's got a secret sauce. And of course, I don't want it to be secret anymore, so it will get out to you guys. Just give me time. I run the school too. But anyway, so this is something on a 6th grade level, they're just man, I need to know, and, I try to make it simpler and fun with glitter paint, different mediums, different ways that you want to express the way that you're learning. It doesn't have to be a pencil. It doesn't, we want to learn to hold a pencil and we want to learn to write, but we don't. That one's really glittery, if you can see it. But when we're learning, it should really be about the learner. It should really be, what mediums do they like to work with? It's going to keep that knowledge, right? And it doesn't, if you have a glitter pen or a pen, it's all fine motor. It's all great. And they are in this exploratory, creative place. So that's how this went. As we did the states eventually, during this time, they could tell me a map. These are 5 and 6-year-olds, and they are diagnosed, okay? And they can tell me on a blank map what every state is. They can tell me what every ocean is. They can tell me what every continent is, and they can tell me the actual capitals. So that's what this puzzle is. 5 and 6-year-olds mastered, not the puzzle, telling me, Lincoln, what state is that? They can tell me. They can tell me. They can also tell me all the abbreviations, all the postal abbreviations for every state. Okay, so I'm not trying to be like, ooh, look what I did. I'm trying to say, look what you can do. You can do this. It's simple. Trying to overcomplicate things is how we get all these services and all these people that need to come and tell us. But they come in and they, at least that's what I was instructed to do, was come in and not share much information with parents, because if I give them the answers, they won't need me anymore. And me here at my business in Miss Candy's Land, I want that phone call that says, you know what? I got this. I don't think we need your services anymore. That is beautiful. And it opens up a space for another child to get on the same page. And if you ever need me back, you can give me a call. If we're going through something new, your kid's reaching a new height, you need help. Hey, it's a different situation. We are in a positive, like, oh, they're reaching new heights. You don't know what to do with this? Okay, bring them over. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out how we're going to get them on that next level of learning. Because a lot of times these kids they will learn far beyond the parameters of what their parents remember from school or even know about. And with knowledge changing, don't be afraid to teach your kids about ancient ruins that are just being found, right? Because it's not in a history book. It's okay. The more they know about the world they're in, the more grounded and whole they'll feel, and the more confidence they'll have, and the more they'll want to just on their own go watch YouTube videos about Antarctica, right? And ask their teacher, hey, can I get a workbook packet on Antarctica? Yeah. We were going to do art, but that's why. So this says, oh, this will be a great art. And it's so integrated. We're learning so many things at once, but we have the opportunity to be creative and artistic. I had to hide this book. I used to keep it on my little teacher desk. But the kids get it because they're obsessed. They want to know all about everything. And these books are $5-6 Amazon. I'd stick with the Montessori stuff just because it's more straightforward. And if we know anything about Maria Montessori, she was all about kids that were diagnosed, right? She was all about the kids that people say can't do anything or have limitations. And what she showed us was no such thing. If you don't know about Maria Montessori, because the Montessori school in your neighborhood is $8 million a month and they don't take special needs kids, look into where it came from. Learn about it yourself, because it is the answer. It is so simple. Now, of course, there's a little bit of sauce. No one thing that's out there today is the answer. You're going to have to integrate. You're going to have to do a little bit of Montessori with a little bit of traditional. In Montessori, you would never hand a kid a packet of Antarctica. So you follow the kid. What learning style is best for them? Now, I am well-versed and trained in all of them. So I usually can pick up where they're leading me, and I can usually just comply. But it changes on a daily basis. One day we want a packet of Antarctica, and the next day we want a more hands-on, practical life or non-traditional way of learning. And that's okay. You will never run out of ideas, I promise. And if you do, put in the comments. I'll give it to you. I'll help you out. We'll figure it out. What's your kid's interest? We'll figure it out. So where we are in the world, where we are in the universe, where we are in the world, it is no opinion. It's just fact. So we're just talking about factually when I look at a map, factually when I look at the solar system, this is where I am. And the confidence and peace that you'll see come over your child once they come down, like from the universe to the continent, to the state, to their house, right? And you will see that click moment, and you will know that they are like, oh, I'm Sally, and I live on Earth, and I live in the state of Arizona, and I live in the city of Phoenix, and my address is blah, blah. And they become so immersed in, where's grandma live? It takes off. One of the most important things is, like I said, remember, all children learn different, and they're all just children. They're all just children. They all afford the right to learn things without ugliness, without you're not good enough, you're diagnosed, we have to do it this way because you have this. No, we're going to present the regular way first. We're going to present the practical, simplest method first. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't really go down a gamut after that. You know, a kid wants to learn how to pour water. Here's some water in some cups, right? I have kids that'll do that as long as I have the water and the cups out, because it's like they just to master it is all they care about. Like, I'm going to master this. I'm going to be great at this. And then I'm going to pour my own drink, as they're seeing themselves as when I'm bigger, because that's what we do when we're kids. And if we're constantly saying, well, you might not do that, instead of, oh, you absolutely can do that. Let's give it a shot. It might take some time for you to learn it, but we'll learn it, you know? I'm here. I'm here for that. That's what I'm here for, right? So a lot of parents and caregivers, they usually come to me to learn that. Where are we in the world? Because it does change the entire, like, just, I don't know how to explain, like, the entire embodiment of your child. Because again, we take these concepts for granted when we're dealing with children. And with neurotypical children, you're like, I'll learn that in second grade, whatever, you know. And that's fine. But, you know, if you start doing it when they're much younger, you'll see what they thirst for. And then school will be much easier for them, because they'll have that concept of, okay, I have to do the math to get to the science. Okay, fine. You know, that's what's missing today, is we don't give them these little concepts, so that when they get into school, and they have to do things that aren't fun, like algebra, even when they get up there in age, they don't have any, okay, well, I need to do this because it relates to this, or I need to do this to get to this. Like a lot of ABA therapists, and I utilize myself, first this, then that, right? First put your puzzle together, and then you can have your tablet, right? It's the same. First go to work, Candy, and then you'll get paid, right? Your whole everything is based on, well, first I have to do this. And first, while I'm doing this, I need to make sure that I am in this moment and I am taking it in. And the only way your kid will ever have that is if they're taught, right? Is if they're taught in this moment, you pour that water, you make a it's water, add some soap, house cleaning becomes easier, right? That's what I usually do. Oh, we got soap water before. Let me grab the mop real quick. We mop today, right? It's that piece within yourself too that helps your child feel comfortable, or the child you're caring for, comfortable enough to explore in case there's a mess, right? That you're going to be like, this is part of your learning process. And if it was any other 2-year-old that didn't have a diagnosis that spilled the water, you might actually say, hey, you spilled the water, let's clean it up, right? And I would say that to every child. So that's one of the things I really want to drive home with that. Every child is here. Every child is in the world. And every child needs to understand where they are in the world so that they can see where they can go. All right? Thank you, and we'll see you next time.